Let's move on to RFK, guys. So as we have alluded to, this is going to be the last segment that we're going to be doing on our RFK focus group. The full focus group is going to post for our premium subscribers to get access to that. A more edited version will eventually post on all of our public platforms. But if you want to be able to watch it to support future work like this, which is very, very expensive in order to put on breakingpoints.com to be able to help us out. Let's get to the actual focus group itself, though, which is we learn a little bit about the people who participated, whether they had voted in the past for Trump, for Biden, or for third party, and who they might support in the future if RFK is not able to get on the ballot. Let's take a listen.
Let's think back to how you voted last time. So I want a show of hands if you voted for Biden last time. And then show of hands if you voted for Trump last time. Third party? Okay. So Shannon, why not Biden this time?
His health, his age. I mean, I don't think he's capable to do another 4 years. Maybe a year, but not 4.
Why wouldn't I vote for him this time? I didn't want to vote for him the last time. So that's why I didn't really stand behind what he was talking about. I was more Trump. And like I said, I was persuaded to vote for Biden because he was Democrat. I just really didn't like how the economy got crippled a little bit to me. It's like they brought us up to bring us back down, and I just don't like it. Like everything has got risen up, like the way where you stay, everything you eat, the things you buy is just high, and it just doesn't make any sense now, you know?
For me, although I think he's very knowledgeable in politics from his past history, I just think at this point, close to 80, I have older parents, and we deal with caregiving and different things. Not saying that they aren't all there physically and mentally, but I'm more concerned about his health taking a toll. It taking a toll on him and not being able to make the best decisions that a younger candidate could.
Is it the Democrats you're going off of, or is it Biden?
It's Biden. For me, it's Biden.
Trump voters, tell me why not Trump this time?
Even from day one, I thought Trump would be good for policy and getting things done. That's why I voted for him initially. And so I think he did that, but I also, with that came his personality. You know, he's known to be abrasive with all the lawsuits, with all this stuff. There's so much drama going on. So to me, it's a distraction. And even though I know he's an effective person in getting stuff done in the leadership end, but he just alienates people on the road, and he can create the divisiveness that we have in this country now.
There's a lot of drama, and we don't need the drama. I just feel like between Kennedy and Trump, I'd actually be okay with either, but I would give Kennedy my vote because we really need to be for the people. And I don't think Trump was as informed as he needed to be.
How likely would you be to change your vote from RFK to somebody else if people were saying to you, look, only one can win, and a vote for RFK Jr. or a vote for any other third-party candidate is, as they sometimes say, don't they, a wasted vote?
I really don't know how to answer that because, like I said, whether it be Trump or Kennedy, I would be happier than it's anybody but Biden.
I'm going to stay safe until the campaigns continue, the conversations continue, just to learn more about Mr. Kennedy and see how the rest of the candidates are behaving.
I'm going to do a lot more research and go from there.
I can never say never.
I'm a man of principle, and so I'm firmly going for him right now, but you put a new dynamic in there saying, you know, what if it's going to be Biden? So that complicates things for me.
Okay, so you're a firm 10, but maybe not.
No,
firm
I mean, if you're saying it's going to be either one or the two, it's either Trump or RFK Jr. or it's going to be Biden, I'm going to do what I can so it's not Biden.
I'm still open to second chances. Biden still can redeem himself, you know. Everybody's not perfect.
I think this is what every election gets boiled down to, and everyone turns it into this. It has to be one or the other. I think that's the problem.
I'm with the bearded guy. I totally agree with him.
Very interesting.
But yeah, I mean, a couple things there. I love how all of them can see clearly. They're like, well, you know, with Trump, I thought X, Y, and Z. then this happened. I don't see it all that clearly with Biden as well. She was like, well, I didn't particularly want to vote for him. And then I did, and I was pretty disappointed with the results, so I'm not going to vote for him. And same, with the way they all feel about Kennedy is clearly a total rejection of the current status quo.
Yeah.
They're very uncomfortable with. That said, if it was Biden I was watching that clip, I would feel uncomfortable because, and this makes sense, for a lot of people who are drifting away and they feel a Biden is infirm and they can't vote for him, for them, that's already a choice. They're like, I'm not going to vote for Biden. So being forced back into voting for Biden is going to be difficult, whereas Trump, benefited from this when he was running against Hillary, was he can capture the anti-Hillary agenda. And don't get me wrong, Biden is definitely a beneficiary of this too. I just don't think it would manifest itself in the same way in an RFK Jr. focus group.
So just to recap, very interesting the reasons that the previous Biden voters and the previous Trump voters moved off of those candidates.
Yeah.
So it's, I think very consistent with what we see in the polling overwhelmingly. With Biden, it's age. It's age. They're just like, I don't even know if he can do another term. And then you had the one lady also talking about, and she talked in one of the previous segments we showed as well about inflation and economics and how she just feels like the economy has been really poor under Joe Biden. With Trump, it's the personality, the lawsuits, and the drama. That's what those two both talked about, even though the woman in particular, the one who said that, listen, I just would be happy with any one of them in Biden. I'd be okay if Trump got back in there. I would wager that she, at the end of the day, if it is coming down to Trump and Biden, is going to vote for Trump because she feels comfortable with him. But what she said is also, the drama, the divisiveness, and she felt like he wasn't as well informed as she wanted to see. And again, these are things, the personality, the lawsuits, the drama, that you see very much when it comes to reluctance to support Trump again, is the sense that it's just like chaos, he's divisive, he's tearing the country apart, and those are some of his biggest liabilities. With regards to when they're actually pressed on, okay, if it really is coming down to the wire, and it's not looking like it's going to be RFK. It's looking very much like it's going to be Trump or Biden. What are you going to do then? You basically only had one guy who said, don't care, still with RFK Jr. Everyone else was like, that gets complicated for me. I'm anyone but Biden. So if my vote, I can't, cast a vote that I think is going to help Biden get back in there by taking it away from Trump, et cetera. And this is why you frequently, basically routinely in American politics, see that third-party candidates poll better than they end up performing on Election Day, because a lot of people do that calculus at the end of the day, and it's logical, it's rational, that because our system is so rigged against anyone outside of the major two parties, that they don't want to feel like they're a spoiler, they don't want to feel like they're quote-unquote throwing their vote away. And so when push comes to shove, they do pick whoever they see as the lesser of two evils. That's what the Joe Biden campaign is really counting on. That is what they're counting on, is that when it comes down to it, the people who are with him before, who, absolutely hate Donald Trump for whatever reason, are going to realize that they have no other option than these two individuals, and so they got to suck it up once again and vote for Joe Biden. But Saagar, I do agree with you that I think it will work to a certain extent. I think that's true. A good number of the people who are typical Democratic voters who are expressing a lot of disgust right now over Israel or his age or or the economy or a variety of other issues, I do think at the end of the day, many of them will come home. But he needs all of them to come home. And they've used this argument a lot of times. And it is a different deal now, where we've had 4 years of Trump, and I thought it was horrible, but we did all survive to the end of it. The world didn't come to an end. So I'm not sure that it has the terrifying factor that it did, once did. And even in 2016, obviously it wasn't enough for it to work out. But also in 2020, memories fade very quickly. At that moment, we had the clear and present example of this is what it's like right now to be under a Donald Trump presidency, and people were so disgusted they were just ready to move on. I think a lot of the visceral nature of that angst has faded over time, and Trump really benefits from that at this point.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think Trump, I could call it both ways. If we got to a point where Trump and the chaos, what do you hear from all these people? Like, I can't handle this, man. It's just difficult.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem all of this. What if we're in the middle of a trial in a Supreme Court, high stakes gamble between the two about whether he's even going to be prison or not, let alone a convicted criminal. I could see it. I could definitely see a bunch of these people being like, all right, well, I'm either going to sit it out or I'm going to vote for Biden or vote for RFK. Vice versa, too, whenever, who knows what the situation is going to look like at the time. But it is clear, though, that it's real, that the support for RFK, I wouldn't say it's as sticky as you would want for a two-party in a two-party system, obviously, but it's not bad either. It's as good as it's been for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, that is the biggest challenge for him, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more in this, campaign drama piece that Mediaite put out, but the biggest thing for him is ballot access. And it's not fair because the system has been completely rigged. He's already facing lawsuits from the DNC. I guarantee you they're going to go after him every single state. I mean, they're just going to make it as difficult as possible for his name to even appear on the ballot. So that's number one. Number two is if you're going to defeat this trend of, polling decently as just an alternative because people are so disgusted with these two, but them actually coming to the polls on election day and sticking with that commitment and not being scared into, but at the end of the day, it's only going to be Biden or Trump, so I got to go with one of the two of them. You are going to have to give people more of an affirmative, no, I'm not just against these two, I'm actively for this guy for whatever the set of reasons is. And I think he has some of those diehard supporters, but not nearly enough, certainly to win or even to really impact the, the outcome of the election, especially as it appears right now. He's drawing pretty evenly from both candidates. So to me, those are kind of the two main challenges that he has upcoming, and really the ballot access one just looms so large in terms of what he'll be able to accomplish.
That's the key. If the man can get on the ballot, then this is a whole different ballgame. But if he's not, and this is where, we wanted to discuss this for all of you. Let's put this up there on the screen. There was a bizarre report that came out from Mediaite where they are claiming that there's been a mass exodus of RFK Jr. campaign staffers. Basically, they're like, it's a campaign in disarray, alleging amateur leadership and all of that. I will say I had a couple of red flags that came to me immediately afterwards, which is, first of all, this is not a traditional political outlet that breaks real scoops and or stories. That said, they did correctly report Mediaite back in the day that RFK was going to do third party, so possibly there's some there. They claimed that there have been an exodus, but when you look at it, they say it's 12 field staff and 2 main staff who are alleging chaos on the ballot access initiative and quote unquote lavish spending. Most of the spending, though, has been concentrated at a relatively lower level in terms of consulting. But maybe the one part that we could take away from this is that people who were in the campaign are coming away and are leaking at least to this report, and they're like, the ballot access is a problem. Now, I went, like I said, on the Kennedy website. They have an entire ballot access page where they have it. And one thing that was definitely a red flag for me, for example, we both live in the state of Virginia, is they're like, it's forthcoming details. And I was like, you guys need to get on this now.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be forthcoming. I even said previously, I'm like, hey, if you're involved, reach out to me. I actually walked past some RFK volunteers where I live, and I was like, hey, is this for ballot access? And they're like, no, that's later. They're like, thanks for your interest, though. But I was like, well, then what are you doing here? What exactly is this? I'm like, you guys need to hit the pavement and get some of these. Yeah, exactly. It's like, look, bumper stickers are great, but that's not the first thing that we really need to get to. So that was look. If there's any grain in this of truth or any of that, he's still only on the ballot in one state. He's got to get on the ballot in 49 more states.
Yeah,
it's a big lift.
It is a massive lift. It will require an absolutely exceptional organization. It will require a massive amount of money, not only to run the actual, ballot access campaign, but also to fund the lawsuits that have already started coming your way. And so, like you, Saagar, this is the typical initial hatchet job that comes out. They do the same thing with Marianne. You see this all the time where it's, the staff is in chaos and we got this leak and that leak from whatever disgruntled staffer. Listen, if you're running a significant organization, someone is going to be bitchy and disgruntled.
Yeah,
that's just the reality, and they're going to be out for blood and willing to leak whatever to some friendly and get their story out there, throw whoever they're pissed off at under the bus. This is typical campaign stuff. So when you see these types of reports, you should take it with a lot of grains of salt. So that's my starting point. That being said, they do have these two letters that they got from staffers of, that they sent to the campaign of why they were leaving. And the line that really sticks out above all others is this one that says, quote, "It bothers me every day that so many in the campaign can't see the iceberg that is dead ahead called ballot access." If that's true, that is a real problem. And again, it's not fair, right? It's not fair that so much of the campaign has to be focused around that. It is anti-democratic, the way that our system has been set up and rigged by the two major parties, but it is the reality of the system that they are going to have to be able to navigate. This staffer who left goes on to say, sure, you're hiring national folks for these efforts, but what about the field where the vast majority of the action happens? The logistics for these operations are already complicated, made even more onerous and costly by the VOLT process. I don't know what that is, and vary in every state. And somehow you expect these things can be worked out by mostly volunteers who will be probably overwhelmed with just the signature gathering. Yeah. Good luck with that. So what this staffer at least is alleging in their exit letter is that, this is being run by a largely volunteer staff. They're going to be overwhelmed. It's insufficiently capitalized. The campaign doesn't have their eye on the ball with regards to this. And if that's true, that is a major, major issue. And I do think that the large sums being spent, going to consultants, that is a problem too. I will say again, it's so hard when you're not one of the, with the establishment of either party, because people don't want to work for you. Mm-hmm. If you are an experienced political operative and you go to work for, Dean Phillips or Marianne or RFK Jr. or whoever who is outside of Joe Biden or Donald Trump, you will never work in party politics again. You're done.
That's a good point.
So in terms of getting, seasoned professional operatives, you basically don't have any available. I mean, the list is practically zero of actual seasoned campaign professionals that you can get. So who do you turn to? You got to go to people maybe people from the business world, people you trust. That's another big thing is, competence is important, but also in this game, it's really important you have people around you that you actually trust. And so you can end up with some people who are less experienced, a little more amateurish with regard to actual campaign operation. But that's basically all that's available to you. So this is also really not fair. And that's how you can also end up getting really scammed by consultants who overcharge you, who are just looking for a quick buck, who don't really care about what the future is going to hold for them. They're just, got to get that cash now and worry about that later. That's how you can end up with, staff upset over one of the things they talk about here is someone who was brought in that they felt like didn't have the, adequate experience for the job that she was put into. But I actually really sympathize on all of those counts because the world of professional operatives with campaign experience is effectively completely closed off to you.
Yeah, very well said from somebody who has a lot more knowledge on this stuff than me. We'll continue to track it. Just remains, though, the ballot access is a problem. Some of his people will, it seems, go elsewhere if they have to. So not giving them the option to do so seems to be pretty paramount.
Yeah, having your name on the ballot is mission critical.
There you go.
Hey, guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.